This is a production of Cornell University.
Good morning. I'm here to talk fast, be chirpy and funny, and deliver us right into lunch. Is that about right? Keep you awake right up to lunch. So, hi everybody. I see some familiar faces, which is weird. So let's get funky, kind of fun. I will introduce myself here. These are all of the things I am. And I think might be some lies in there too, that I'm not no nonsense. Am I not no nonsense or am I no nonsense? I think I'm not no nonsense. It's hard to say. I'm a blogger. I've written a gardening blog for 12 years, which in blogging is a really long time. I started working in garden centers in my 20s after being a manager at Starbucks. It was like totally normal, right? Manager at Starbucks, quit that. Frappuccinos came out. I was like, screw this. I'm out of here. I'm going to go water plants for 10 years. And that's what I did. So I've been working in gardening since then. I'm a very serious person. I make no jokes at all, and I never lie. I'm a mom, a Daisy Troop leader, a Chicagoan. I'm a columnist at Green Prophet. I'm assuming that's why I'm here, and it's not the Daisy Troop leader part. But you never know. I'm humorless. I'm a speaker. I have a tattoo of Felco pruners on my arm. Because they're the nicest things I've ever owned. When I got the tattoo, that was the nicest thing I'd ever owned was 2 pairs of Felco pruners. I never had any quality tools in my life until then. I'm very bland and boring, and I have terrible eyesight. So now you know everything about me. That's all you need to know. So garden centers are my big thing, and I go to every garden center I can. I could plan vacations around stopping at garden centers, and I notice a lot of things that we're doing right and a lot of things that we're doing wrong. My first thing is why garden centers are retail, but they don't. No one who owns one or runs one often runs one like it is retail. It's like those rules don't apply to us. A lot of customers don't really get how to shop. New customers don't really get how to shop for plants or how to operate in a garden center. And another Starbucks reference. Do you remember the first time you went to Starbucks and you were like, you needed to have a friend to help you figure it out? Well, guess what? Garden centers are like that for new gardeners and new shoppers. They have no idea where to get your wagon or where to check out or how things work, because it's not like the grocery store or Target or the drugstore or anything. It's just totally different rules, and we don't really try to help those new people at all. So I love this idea, which is like a new gardeners start here. I don't think it's like the flashiest display ever. I think I would totally kick this up a few notches, but this is a good representation of a beginning. I also a big fan of picking a night of the month or a night of the week or a day of the week, and this is new customer day. You put out the banner, hey, every Tuesday, new customers welcome. We have extra special staff here to help new people. They're extra patient and extra smart every Tuesday. Of course, it's the same staff you always have, but that was funny, you guys. Come on now. You get them t-shirts like we were the special Tuesday extra caring sensitive staff for new people, and of course it's just the same people. So Beginner's Day once or twice a month, or you can advertise it. You can use social media, which I know everyone loves so much, and they're praying I don't talk about, but your prayers will go unanswered. You could have beginner specialists. Of course, they're the same old people, and you make sure that you post banners saying beginners are welcome. A beginner's welcome banner on a beautiful established garden center is a huge deal to someone who always drove by, was always curious, but scared poopless to go in. It happens. I know it's hard to imagine. Infographics are really important. I hate handouts, and I'm still doing this anyways because they're the right thing to do. Just because I hate handouts, they're killing trees, and there's no really great way to hand them out other than those little plastic take one things. There's something that you should have, maybe even at the register. You should also have your own infographics and offer them online and use them in social media. Make sure that you're using merchandising to lead the way, lead people all the way through your garden center from beginning to end so that they hit everything that you want. Use potted plants to move people through so that they can't get through to other areas. You want to lead them all the way through. Make sure that their eye is going exactly where you want them to, and you're hiding the things you don't want them to see. So this is a great way to they're funneling people right towards the door. And here's another great way. How can you not follow a line of bowling balls, right? Who is not curious about what's going on once you walk past? What is going to go on past there? It costs next to nothing to use bowling balls. I know this for sure because I have them at my house and my neighbors complain about them. It costs nothing to do this, and people are always curious. And pizza delivery guys love me. My neighbors don't, but the pizza delivery guys, they get me. And really, who do I need to impress in life? The pizza delivery guys are my neighbors. Pizza delivery guys, every time. The one pizza delivery guy just had twins, Luke and Leia, and I was like, you are my people. Luke and Leia, you are my people. So I don't care about the neighbors. I care about the guy who's the dad of Luke and Leia. That makes him Darth Vader. I hope I didn't spoil anything for you. That movie came out in 1977. Okay. So while you're leading people around your store, you also want to inspire them, give them ideas how things can come together. And this is how you add to sales. They don't just want to come in for one plant, they come in for 2 plants, they come in for the pots, they come in for the soil, they buy everything. So you're directing people through your garden center while you're also selling them ideas. My favorite garden center trick is to use the ground. No one ever does that. I make arrows through garden centers. I write soil this way and draw an arrow. I've made very intricate oriental rugs underneath patio sets out of chalk. I also get young people like 6, 7, 8 years old to help me out with that. So it's really obviously very elaborate and always stays within the lines. Chalk, paint, you name it, use the ground to direct people. You can use stuff judiciously. I know that we get in that truckload of 300 knockout roses and we just make a pile of 300 knockout roses right there. None of those knockout roses go in backstock. They just stay in a pile until they dwindle in September. Use things more judiciously. So use those 300 knockout roses to make your entire path going all the way down. Yeah, it's more work, but they're there. You might as well use them. And then use actual visual merchandising cues, like at the grocery store where they keep the milk in the back. You just put those pink petunias in the back, right? Put the hanging baskets in the back. So people have to go through and be subjected to all your awesome products and awesome ideas on the way back to get the totally boring things. So in the Kiss My Aster vortex from 1 to 10 of how boring or cool a display could be, this is like a 1. This is like as boring as a display could be, as lush as a display could be. It's just a little bit better than basic. This is not, it's cool, but it's not that cool. We can do better. Now we're talking. We got some color. We got some weird stuff in there. There's not enough plants for my liking, but it's giving ideas. It's giving people permission, which I think that people desperately need these days, permission to let their freak flag fly in their backyard. Gardening used to be an expression of creativity, and I feel now like it's becoming more of an expression of, God, don't let my neighbors hate me. It's like this bar is set for like beige gardening, and we need to bring back the weird in gardening, and that is why I have 2 mannequins and 12 pipe organ pipes in my garden. I'm doing my part to help all of you bring gardening back to fun and funky. So what can you do to create a conversation? I feel like many garden centers are ruled with the fear of what if I upset somebody? And we let that one squeaky person who complains that something's inappropriate or something's not right or not, it's just not the thing that they want to see. And we let that one person who's going to complain keep us from impressing a lot more people. The busloads of people who'd be like, that's cool. I want to talk about this place. I want to Instagram this place. I want to tell my friends like, hey, they had this sign about the prick, and This is what we want, right? We want to create a buzz and a sensation with very little effort. This is just a little bit of paint and a lot of cactuses, right? But it's funny. I know when I go into a garden center that these are my people, and that I'm going to, from seeing a sign like this, I know that I'm going to get along with the people that work there, get along with the management, and that they probably have cooler stuff than other garden centers that may not take this kind of a risk. I don't know. So again, this tells me that I'm shopping someplace cool. It makes me feel cool to be there. And I know that the people that work there have a sense of humor, and that they are going to have something to talk to me about, that they have something to offer me. And I'm just so into that. I want to connect with the people that work there. This, I was surprised. This is a garden center I never would have gone into. It's the kind of, it's still in Chicago, but it's just outside of Chicago, and it's the kind of place that I would have driven past. I just figured that they have geraniums and spikes. Never would go in there. I saw this, and I'm like, going in. I'm going to go in. Obviously, I was wrong about them. They're obviously cool and funny. And I was wrong. It doesn't cost anything, right? And you don't even have to really be that original. This stuff's out there. Who hasn't done we're so excited we wet our plants? It's still funny. We've all seen it. We've all been sent it into our inboxes 37 times, and 37 times you're like, yeah, wet our plants, huh? But guess what? It's still funny. You still put that sign out front, people are still gonna laugh. It doesn't take much, people. It doesn't take much. We're still, they're having fun. It's something that, going back to social media, this is something that if I saw this in a garden center, I would absolutely share this. I would absolutely put it on my Facebook page and send it out to 4,000 people. And I would share the location of this, and everyone would have a little talk about it. We're just not having this kind of fun day to day. I know Aquascape has a peeing dog water feature. Have any of you seen that? So it's like 24-hour dog peeing. You can have it anywhere you want, but I like this too. I would maybe think that a storefront like this was a little too fancy for me, because I like a little bit of a challenge. But with this out front, I would absolutely check it out. This would be the number one thing that would get me into a garden center. I know garden centers have, they make a list of their top selling plants, and they eliminate the bottom, 15% every year. The bottom 15% are exactly what I want to be buying. I want to be buying those bottom 15%. Please don't get rid of the bottom 15%. Take that bottom 15%, put it on an end cap, and have a salesperson standing there being like, these are weird plants, and this is why they're weird, and this is how you can grow them, and then you have weird plants. Even people who don't know a petunia from a tomato steak want to have something cool and different, but they just need it explained to them. So we're becoming more like the big boxes and just selling basic stuff and getting rid of the cool stuff. Oh gosh, it makes me bleh. It bothers me. I think we could use this. Garden center, super sexy sale. We need the sexy in gardening. Bring it. Plants are all about sex. It's not untrue. We can have the geranium, super sexy geranium sale. Let's do it. Color blocking? That's some photo worthy, right? It doesn't cost much to make a display like this. And this is, I think, at Flora Grub in California, which is something that people have photographed thousands of times and shared these photos thousands of times. And when people take a vacation out there, this is something that they want to see and take their picture next to. Can you imagine having your garden center as a vacation destination? Why not? I mean, why can't you imagine that? How much do you think it costs to get an old rusty car dropped in your garden center and use it as a shelf for plants? You just need the space, right? And the rats. Realistically, you're not going to copycat this, but I will tell you the story. I worked at a garden center in downtown Chicago, which is a weird place to be selling plants and look up and there's skyscrapers all around. It is an unusual place to sell plants to people who didn't feel grass under their feet on a daily basis. So it was already an unusual customer base. Three of my greatest fights with customers there was the first guy who was really upset that I told him that Boston ivy wouldn't grow on his entertainment system. The woman who didn't understand why I told her she couldn't have a cut-leaf Japanese maple growing in her dining room. But my favorite is the guy who he had a Fraser fir, a fresh-cut Fraser fir for Christmas. He called us in March. He said, you don't understand, it's really doing very well. I'm a wealthy man. I'd like you to root this for me. And I made the mistake of saying, sir, we can't do that. I really should have just taken his money and given him a balled and burlap Fraser fir. What's wrong with me? But it looks a little different. Well, it's been through some things. The rooting process is very difficult, sir. So at this garden center, for fall, when things are slowing down, I took a good 48-inch terracotta pot and put rebar in it, and I built a 3-cage topiaries out of chicken wire, filled it with moss and soil, and inserted little 4-inch cabbages. So it was like 12 feet tall when I was done, and I never got to being done because it turns out nothing sells 4-inch cabbages at $7.95 in downtown Chicago. Like someone playing with them, basically. Me touching them and adding them to this topiary meant that they sold faster than any cabbages have ever sold for $7.95. I never got to finish it because it just drew so much attention. The act of putting a display together in front of other people, it's theater. People like it. There's a story to, hey, I bought this cabbage today. It was $7.95, but this lady was putting it at the top of this. It was going to be the last one, so I bought it. There's the kind of person that appeals to you, sadly. There's all kinds of things you can use to make things cool and give them a story. Hey, I bought this horsetail rush today. It was in an old rusty bathtub. Hey, I bought some succulents. They were under a decrepit piano. It was kind of cool. I took a picture. It's not just a plant, it's an experience. Buying something out of an old stove. This is at a garden center outside of Chicago. You can't really tell. It's lit up at night. And they're old shovels and rakes that have been coated with glue and glitter. Cost them nothing. These things end up as sign holders. They hang them from the greenhouse ceiling and they hang signs off of it. They lay them on either side of a walkway to guide people from walking. They've used these glittered tools for everything, and they just have a ton of them, so it didn't cost anything to do it. And it's just a really fun thing for them. Fun thing for everybody. Glitter's fun for everybody. I know that you don't want me to talk about social media, but I have to. So here's some things that I know about social media that come with fun and funky, is that even when you're posting things and there's no interactions, it seems like no one's looking, that's the new thing that the kids are doing now, is that they don't even give you a like. It's not even, if it's so cool, they won't even push like. So you just have to keep going, even though you're getting absolutely no validation for it at all. And just because you're the boss doesn't mean you need to be doing social media. You need to find someone who enjoys doing it and let them do it. And it doesn't have to be one person. It can be a team of people. And I can't push Instagram at you hard enough. In other industries, they are using our tools for visual merchandising way better than we are. Let that soak in for a second. We're selling high-end shoes here using our wheelbarrows. What's up with that? So this is at a fancy jewelry store using our stuff. Would we ever think of using that? No. To us, these are tools. You don't use these as that would be bizarre. But it isn't. We should be doing this. It's pointing down, basically. They're like arrows pointing down at the things they want you to buy. Make sure that we're merchandising for all generations and all price points. I'm a big believer in terrariums because they can be made for nothing. We can use things we find on the ground at work to make a terrarium, right? Little droppings of succulents, little pieces of this and little pieces of that. They cost nothing. I make them out of old spaghetti jars or ball jars, things I find at the thrift store. We could be making and selling terrariums for next to nothing, and that can be a really great draw, and it's a really great draw in the winter. Here they're using the House Strip Gardening book to market both the book and the plants. So this is a very specific kind of gardening for city dwellers, people who have that house strip. You know what that is, right? The area between the road and the sidewalk. So it's also, for me, it's the pizza oven, because all that hardscaping gets so hot that everything just wants to kind of burn up and die there. So they're selling the book, they're cross-promoting with the plants, they've taken the plants from the book, and they're doing that. I believe that the millennials have burned through the air plants, and they won't be doing that again. And now they're burning through succulents, and cactuses are it. They're going to be here for kind of a while, and so gear up for that. Little thrift store teacups with succulents in it. This costs so little to do, and this is so much. Basically, if you have someone who comes in and they want a succulent, there's a good chance that this is what they wanted to make with it, but if you're already offering it, they'll take that shortcut, but you have to have it for them to buy it. Here's a happy spring thing for kids to appreciate. So this is pretty for all of us, but this is the kind of place that if I took my daughter, who's 6, to a garden center, and she would then recall that experience and be like, hey mom, let's go to the place with the rain boots outside. Does this make sense? It's something that even kids would find whimsical and interesting, not just adults. And we all have the piles of stinky boots, so it's not like that would cost anything either. You've been wanting to throw those boots away for at least 4 years. So just hang them from a fence and plant them up. I like Rust. Rust and I, we go way back. So here's something interesting, adding a little bit of whimsy. How much would it cost to French braid some miscanthus? Nothing. And why didn't you guys already think of this? I mean, really, where's your head at? We could be French braiding miscanthus. I have, before I never thought of this, but I did buy chip clips that looked like hair bows, and I put them in miscanthus to try to get my daughter to play with grasses. I don't know why I wanted to do that. She makes it her time machine. She steps into the miscanthus and she says, coming out at a different time, and she... We can all be adding a little bit of whimsy, and this really is going to hook in these, they're called Generation Z, the youngest kids. I think we may have, it was the baby boomers, and we've gone right to millennials. We never really got Generation X our chance. And really digging into Generation Z is going to be where we need to be. We need to take the lesson of completely forgetting about X and already start focusing on Z and welcoming them into garden centers, creating a little bit of whimsy, play spaces. Z is young, right? They're 20 and younger. So we need to really open up fun spots for them. One way you can do that for free is to let the kids paint a rock while their mom or dad shops. And that rock lives in the garden center. Do you think that kid's gonna wanna come back and visit that rock? You think you're gonna hear, hey mom, I wanna go to the place and visit my rock. Oh yes, that kid is gonna wanna visit their rock. So you're gonna have a return visit right then and there. You can let kids paint on a fence, and like in Chicago, we have a lot of restaurants that encourage graffiti. It can be that kind of thing. The graffiti becomes, once it gets layered up to a couple summers of it, it becomes its own kind of weird art. So you can let kids paint their own faces on fence posts while their parents shop. You can have a little obstacle course for them to crawl through, kids' gardens. You can show parents exactly how to do a kid's garden, how to make it fun, how to get kids involved in gardening. And this way you can sell a lot of those little plastic shovels with butterflies on it too. I think that they might be the easiest to reach, and right now they're the most loyal. My daughter has such a fun time when we go to IKEA. She asks to go to IKEA all the time. We could be doing that at garden centers. Garden centers are a heck of a lot more fun than IKEA. I mean, really, almost anything is, except the Swedish meatballs are really on point. We can be creating that kind of fun very easily. This is just a pile of dirt for kids to play with. How hard would that be for us? I mean, really, here kids, have some dirt to play with. Okay, I want to come back for the rest of my life. In autumn, we have a hard time merchandising those pumpkins, so why not make a little labyrinth for kids to walk through? It would cost nothing to do this. This is just layout. I love doing this with mown grass too. If you have a field, let the field grow for 2 weeks and then mow a labyrinth in the grass, and that's a great way to keep kids busy and occupied and create an experience that they're going to want to recapture. Fairy gardens are so not my favorite thing. They're not. I wish that they would go away, but they're not going to. This is well done. This is really great. Things that need to be reupholstered are next to free on Craigslist or in junkyards or thrift stores, and this could be very easily replicated. This is really not a big deal. It looks like a big deal, really isn't a big deal. How to best be part of your community. Make sure that you're offering classes. This is a real thing. This is, what is this called, silks? It's a big deal. I don't know if every greenhouse roof can support, like a group of 15 people doing this. No. But you could be doing yoga easily, especially in the winter if you're already heating those greenhouses anyways. You could actually have people coming in and having hour yoga, and then maybe they buy a plant on their way out. Maybe they don't. Painting classes are awful, but what they come with is lots of wine, and a liquored up customer is always a customer with an open purse. I strongly recommend that plants and wine, they go together. Seed starting classes have been a really big deal in early spring. The important thing is that, as we all know, people want to start their seeds in January when it's way too early to start their seeds. So you need to be setting some pretty strong messages in January that yes, we have a seed starting class in March when you're supposed to be doing it. Pruning classes have been a big deal. Fancy cocktails like growing lemon verbena for cocktails, and here's what you do, have been very popular. Canning and preserving is a huge deal, and if you sell canning and preserving stuff, it's just perfect. Actual gardening classes, I don't know, kind of passe. Knitting, you could just sit around and knit, have a knitting circle come and sit in your greenhouse or a garden center. And book clubs. Book clubs also come with wine, that's the deal. Make sure, if you can, do events. There's a lot of money in events. People keep getting married. What's up with that? And there's money in it. It's just people open their pockets and it just start throwing around when you're getting married. Weddings, parties, charity fundraisers, meeting space, especially for garden clubs. I know a lot of garden clubs are always looking for space. Mom's Night Out is this thing where each mom in the group has to take a different night in the month, and they try to up the other moms, and it ends up where they're renting out entire garden centers and doing plant-a-container parties. And this is a real thing. And you don't charge them much other than enough to keep the place open, and then give them a little discount on the plants and the pots, and you have guaranteed 15 or 20 sales that night. It's not such a bad way to stay open. Straw bales are great for everything. This is a wedding in a garden center. Can you identify the actual garden center in there? The main point is that you and your staff are having fun. The customers will feel it, and it's important that it doesn't become drudgery, especially when it's 98 degrees out and you just got to get that stuff watered 8 times, and every time you pick up the hose, someone's like, "Excuse me, where's the geraniums and spikes?" You still have to make it fun, and I recommend that these would help if you could get one of these for everybody on your staff. It's the most truthy gardening shirt ever. Yeah. So that's it. Do you have any questions? You just like, where's lunch, right?
Yeah. questions or discussion.
Or if you want to yell at me and tell me I'm wrong.
Tell me about your new book.
I can't tell you about it. I may have told you about it under the duress of some sangria, sir, but I am not allowed to talk about my new book. I can talk about the old book, but everyone probably doesn't care. I can tell you about the old book. The old book is, it's aimed at new home. Wow, there it is right there.
This is what it looks like.
Yeah, it's exactly what it looks like. It's aimed towards new homeowners who, they buy a house and they have this existing landscaping that just isn't their taste, and it's a graphic guide, so it's the illustrations are very trippy and a little bit psychedelic and odd. There's not a lot of text in it. At the end of each page, you choose your own adventure, so you don't have to read the whole book. You can just read the parts you want. It is a very weird book with at least 5 references to the Beastie Boys, 6 references to Spinal Tap, and 2 references to Star Wars, just like this presentation. So yeah, and I'm working on a second book, but I'm not allowed to talk about it unless I've had sangria. And if you don't have sangria with you, you have some? I might, yes, sir.
Amanda, you mentioned during your presentation the importance of Instagram.
Yes.
So I got you by a couple of years, and so all this whole social media. Can you explain why?
Why Instagram? Yeah, and you know what? Instead of telling you, maybe I can show you a couple garden centers that are killing Instagram. Would you like to see that? All right, let's take a look. There are garden centers on Instagram. They are followed by every gardener in America, not just in their area. So if they're killing it, if they're really doing a great job, let me see here, Instagram. So let's see here. Let me find one right away. Let's just hope there's nothing inappropriate in here. Okay, here's one, Natural Plus in Iowa. So, like, even just something like this is just genius. And they got 12 likes on it, which is kind of a lot in the world of this sort of thing. You can kind of see some of the things they're doing. Let's see if we can find someone who's doing a little bit racier things. Here, you know what I'll do? I will do a search here. I don't know. So Instagram is just photos. And you post something like a sale here, like look at this great thing. It gives you all the information you need there in the photo, and then on the bottom, right here, it gives you all the information that you need to know. They didn't use any hashtags if you're hashtag phobic. I know some people just are like, hashtags are stupid. They're not stupid. They have a really great function, which is they create a live link to anything else in that area. So if you don't at least use your town's name, that's the least thing you could do. If I take pictures at a garden center, I use the hashtag independent garden centers and garden centers, which means that if you click on that, you can see pictures of independent garden centers all around the world. That's kind of cool, right? If someone's interested in independent garden centers, then they can check them all out. Let's see what else they're doing here. Pictures of like every 3rd or 4th photo should not be pictures of product, pictures of how many people come. Wow. You see this picture scroll across your screen, why wouldn't you want, hey, a lot of people show up. I missed out on that. I want to go to that next year, right? Do you feel that way when you see this? This must be a pretty good thing if there's that many people there. Flash sale, cute stuff. So this is something that you should be doing every day. And if it isn't, if you have no idea where to start at today's a picture of Ampsonia. Tomorrow's a picture of Buddleia. And you write a little something about what you know about that plant, how much it is, and where you're at. Make sure, I know a lot of garden centers who on their front page don't even have their address or town. Address and town is important. Yes, address and town is important. But it's not rocket science. It doesn't have to be the most creative thing in the world. It just has to be the truth of what your garden center is about. Give a little flavor of where you are, and you need to try to seek out other people in your area and follow them, and they'll usually follow you back. Anything else?
Other questions or comments?
Questions and comments are my favorite part, you guys. So, listening, yes, sir.
What's going to be the next fairy garden? Like cool thing.
I'm not sure, because fairy gardens is going to stick around for a long time, and it's just so cheap and plasticky, and I would like fairy gardening to be a little bit more authentic. How can you have an authentic fairy garden? I would be then insinuating that fairies are not real. I would like stormtrooper gardening to come in. I would like, to build a Death Star out of begonias and blow it up. I mean, I just would like it to be more fun and less cheesy. So it's not that I have a problem with the idea of fairy gardening. I have a real problem with the way it's played out. Was there another question? Because I love questions so much. Yes?
Just a comment. I have 2 daughters in their early 20s, and you would excite them about what?
That's my job.
Yeah, their mother was doing horticulture.
Right. And my first garden center boss is my best friend's mom. Okay? So she's taught me everything I know. Does her daughter, my best friend, garden? She does her pots. She knows what she likes. She has a lot of knowledge from being exposed to it, but she is not interested. So I have a daughter who knows at 6 years old the name of all the plants and stuff. So let's see. I'm hoping it sticks. We'll see. Yes?
So as a new homeowner,
Yeah.
what are 3 must-dos I should do before the season ends?
Well, I mean, it depends on if you
read the book.
I was gonna say it depends on if you like your landscaping.
No.
You don't. I was like, cut down the burning bush, kill it with fire, and also douse gasoline on it. All those 3 things. It's bigger than that. I would say. I mean, I'm a huge core aeration believer. That's usually most people I talk to. They worry too much about their lawn. They want a perfect lawn, and I slap them twice, once this way and once that way, and tell them to snap out of it, and I give them a long rant about lawns and who are they really supporting. And after my rant is over, then I'm like, but you can core aerate. It's a pretty good way to get moisture down to the roots, and you also I'm a big fan of that. I then would talk to someone about making sure red mulch doesn't ever taint your property. And I would talk about growing food, because it's such a rewarding thing. It's like when you start harvesting, it's like winning this personal lottery in your mind every day, right? If we can get young gardeners to feel that feeling, we can trick them. We can trick them the rest of the way. Before you know it, they'll be buying paper birches. Yes?
What's in your front yard?
What isn't in my front yard? I'm tearing out the turf in my front yard and putting in big drifts of perennials. I have a mid-century modern ranch, so I'm trying to keep it kind of modern looking. I try to keep it a little bit more business in front and party in the back. So I have at my front door, which is kind of recessed, this summer's theme was a tribute to the Polynesian resort at Walt Disney World. So it's all tropical plants, and there's a mannequin there handing out leis, and she's in a tropical dress, and that's totally normal, right? And I have a chair with a pillow with a Dole Whip on it. If you've ever had a Dole Whip, you'll be like, I will buy that pillow, right? Have you had a Dole Whip? No? Okay. All right. So the whole front door is tropical right now, and I've got dahlias and tomatoes and coming out of swaths of bronze fennel and perilla. It's very weird, but I get a lot of compliments on it. It's taken me 5 years to do a chunk because I have a 6-year-old. I'm hoping to increase my speed now that she's 6. I have a lot more to do. The backyard is a lot weirder. There's a tattoo shack, a mud laboratory, the pipe organ pipes, several old bicycles, and a lot of bowling balls. And a lot of plants, you know, you've got to balance it off. It can't just be plants. That's too easy. Too easy. Anything else? Yes?
Suggest that fairy gardens are the gateway drug to bonsai.
That is such a strong statement. All right, I'm going to tell you why you're wrong. And I back me up, ladies. Bonsai's for dudes.
So's Voldemort.
Did you say so's Voldemort? I would say that bonsai takes so much care and control, and I personally have no time for that. And I would say that a lot of women would feel that way too.
And on that note,
Is it controlling? Yes.
some need more control than others.
Yes.
Amanda, thank you very much.
This has been a production of Cornell University, on the web at cornell.edu.